Everyone, so we're back with another episode of Masters of the Craft. For those that know the podcast situation, we do one series which is all about business owners, and the Masters of the Craft are people who are outstanding in their field, not potential business owners, just advisors, majority of it being brokers and protection advisors who are doing something a bit different or are excelling in their company. So we kind of go through that and any tips they've got. So today I've got David Gissing from London Mortgage Partners. Nearly forgot that then. I'll get told off by Chris, but from London Mortgage Partners, and he's risen up relatively quickly through the ranks to kind of a sales management position and also a top performer. So we're just going to go through some of the details there. So firstly, thanks for joining us, Dave. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for the invite. Glad to be here.
Good. So if we can start with, tell me about the journey. Tell me about the broker journey so far for you.
Sure. Okay. So my entry year was I was an agency broker, part qualified. So I done a lot of protection only in my first year.
Yeah.
Whilst really kind of just shadowing some of the more senior brokers and you know, I suppose just learning how to sell, really, how to communicate, how to carry yourself, all the basics whilst getting fully qualified. And then I was quite fortunate in the sense that in the company I was at previously, so once I had qualified, my old sales manager kind of took a chance on me and said, look, we're going to put you in quite a big, busy office in Kent and just see how you get on. There's a vacant position there. So yeah, they put me into the Maidstone office.
Can I just say quickly, I know you'll say that's really lucky, but obviously they saw something in you. There's a reason why we're interviewing top performers, and I'm sure they didn't just go, oh, okay, he's qualified, chuck him in the busiest office.
Well, yeah, let's go with that. Let's say that they saw some potential and they thought, yeah, we'll give him a go. We'll see what he's made of. So yeah, got put into the Maidstone office. Done quite well, I think for like your rookie year as a qualified broker. Got cats under my belt, just really focused on customer service. That was it. From day one, it's been focused on the customer journey and the customer service you're providing, and I had good success off the back of that. Had a good couple of years or so, and then I moved up to Dartford from Maidstone. Dartford was kind of like another, I suppose, one of the flagship branches. So there was a little bit of a shuffle around. I moved a bit closer to home, up to Dartford. Again, done pretty well there. I was only there for maybe 6 months or so, and then the opportunity rose to join London Mortgage Partners, and that's where the career really took off, I suppose, at that point.
Gone through the roof. So,
yeah.
What were you, when you first went to London Mortgage Partners, what was the deal there? Because obviously I know you're managing a team and that kind of thing at the moment, but what were you brought in as? Just a box standard advisor? And
yeah, so I went in as a senior advisor, and then it was at the beginning of 2020. So, you know, kind of the last couple of years, we didn't really know what was going to happen. And you know, my first day walking through the door and meeting Chris, and the team was much smaller at the time, so we didn't know quite how busy it was going to be and what was going to be thrown at us with the pandemic and, you know, all the other things that have kind of happened. But going as a senior advisor, you know, I remember I had about 3 or 4 weeks, and then the pandemic properly hit. We went fully remote, and I had a conversation with Chris.
How was that? Out of interest, how was that in a new job 4 weeks in? How did you? Because obviously you and the business have thrived through that time, but surely the first couple of weeks you're like, shit, like that's a big thing.
Yeah, massively. Yeah, like new company, you know, relatively new company, sort of last person in the door. I was thinking, oh no, what
new
have I
systems
done?
to learn from home.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I came in, I hit the ground running day one. You know, when I was speaking to Chris through kind of the onboarding process, it was very much, we want you to come in and just get stuck in and go for it. So that's what I've done. I came in and I wanted to be in the city, which is why I joined LMP. I wanted to be a city broker. I wanted the city life. So to then 4 weeks later be stuck at home, it really wasn't the plan. But yeah, I came in. I'd managed to get some deals under my belt within the first few weeks, which, you know, as lovely as Chris was, we didn't really know each other at that point. I was, you know, thinking, right, okay, maybe
from the beginning, hasn't he? Much the same as your last boss, backed you for that. Chris has done the same at LMP. You've clearly got something that they see when they're willing, you know, people are willing to take a punt on you on that next level. Much the same as going to sales management without any sales management direct experience. You've obviously got that little bit. That's what we're kind of trying to delve into in this is, and I know it's very hard for you because you're talking about yourself, but there's something there that people haven't got, that people are prepared to take that next punt on you. It's just interesting to kind of think what that is. I mean, any revelations on that? I suppose it's hard to look at yourself like that, but
I don't know. Maybe I think it's just determination.
Yeah,
it's hard when you're put on the spot to kind of
I know it's hard to talk about yourself, but I mean something you've touched on already though, which is really like it's probably really obvious to you, and it's not to everyone, is that your main driver at the beginning was giving the customer the best experience. If your main driver, I think, is trying to make as much money, and you're maybe your mind isn't working in the same way because your main driver is to give customers the best experience. That's probably how you got to where you've got so quickly.
Yeah, it's all just focusing on the outcome, right? And putting the deal away, ensuring that the customer and the client is happy with everything. You've explained it well, you've given them the best possible service you can, and then off the back of that, just matching that with the determination to say, right, I'm always kind of thinking, what's next, how can we keep progressing? And when we have those conversations, you know, rewinding it back to that first conversation of right, we're going to put you in one of our busy branches, how do you feel about it? I wouldn't say I'm a yes person, but I'm a yes person in the sense that if something comes up, if an opportunity arises, I'll say, yeah, throw me in the deep end and let's see what happens.
Chuck it in, get you, or back yourself. You know, that's a big.
Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, that I think that's probably the main factor, but also just the drive as well. I would say I've got the hunger to do well. Like if I have sat here and said to you, I don't want to be the best, I'd be lying, because I do want to be the best.
Everyone I speak to does. That's what makes you the best. Because if you want to be mediocre, it's really easy. If you have that drive to be the best, you've always got something to live up to, haven't you? No one's ever completed asked for if you're striving to be at the top all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, realistically, how much room is there to be the best and at the top? You know, but as long as you're not necessarily, you know, doing the biggest figures or being the best broker, but just doing the best that you possibly can.
Yeah, of course. Everyone's best is subjective, isn't it? It's not. Yeah, you're not talking about making the most cash out of any broker in the country. You're talking about being the best you can be, and that is by pushing yourself every month, every day, and that obviously shows in your figures. So you're not figures oriented. You're driven towards being great, and that's why your figures are so good.
Yeah, of course, and you know the figures. Don't get me wrong. I love looking at good figures. So the figures are definitely a driving factor behind it, because when you do see what is actually possible, it gives you more hunger to keep going. Right, how can I keep improving? How can I do more? How can I, you know, keep bettering myself?
Do you know what? You're right about that. But people, because if you haven't seen it, you don't know. I speak to young brokers and they're like, I'd be really happy with £3 a month, and I say that's because you haven't earned 5, and then when you've earned 5, you haven't earned 10, and that's what. But you can't see it, can you? Until you see the numbers on the board, until you see your bank balance going up, it's hard to really imagine how it changes. You know, how it keeps your drive going.
Yeah, like what my understanding of what was good 5-6 years ago is very different of what my understanding of good is now.
But that's because you're willing to learn as well. You're willing to learn and grow, because you think you've nailed it because you're making a few quid, you're done, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the factor I think that keeps you going. But So to bring it back to the beginning of the pandemic, Chris said to me, look, I'll give you the opportunity. I'll give you all the support you possibly need. I'll give you, everything you need, give you the opportunity, and then it's down to you to make it happen. So it was kind of a 50-50 in the sense of, he said to me, right, if you can put everything on the table, I'll put everything on the table, and then, we'll see how you get on. So that's the opportunity that's there. I thought, right, let's make it happen. Hit the ground running in the first few weeks. We then had a conversation, right, we're going to be working from home. And I kind of said, look, I'm going to keep doing everything I can from home. It's going to be difficult, but let's see how we get on. And
the working from home was a really good excuse for people to tap out, wasn't it? Especially 4 weeks in, that would have been, no one would have knocked you for going, I'm out of my depth here. I've only done 4 weeks, but to drive through that period is probably, where it's part of what separates you, I suppose.
Yeah, massively. And I think actually that period of working from home was kind of the ultimate, sink or swim. So rather than sitting around, I remember the weather was very nice in that April. Rather than sitting in the garden and taking it easy and whatever.
Drinking wine with your breakfast like everyone else.
Exactly. I was, I discovered Zoom. I was jumping onto Zoom with investors in property networking groups. And I think what got me through the pandemic, I won't say us as in the company, but especially me, was just networking. Although, lenders made it very difficult to do business, agents were closed. It was hard to actually, get a deal through. So I was kind of managing the very small pipeline that we had, but I was looking for, I remember speaking to Chris, and he said, just, take this opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Try and figure out
the other side. You were ready.
Yeah. When we get out the other end, we want to be going full force at this. So I was talking to people on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, just trying to build out the network of people that I knew.
Yeah.
So that when we could get going with business, I had various leads, new introducers, because a lot of brokers, unfortunately, were furloughed. I say unfortunately for the individual, but for me, that's a great opportunity because a lot of the big.
It blows my mind, I just say, when everyone was furloughed, there's half the people making a shed ton of money, and some people were furloughed. Like, that was a mindset decision from companies. We're not going to make any money through this, as opposed to we're going to thrive through it like you did.
Yeah, exactly. I remember speaking to some of my ex-colleagues at the time. They was pretty much all furloughed for a lot longer than a lot of firms, and I know a lot of the larger brokers furloughed. So there wasn't many brokers actually working at that time. So for the very few people who were still in the industry and working, we was using that as an opportunity to say, look, we are still here. We're still doing everything we can. If there's anything that you need from us, let us know. And there were agents that were calling me saying, our broker isn't working at the moment, but I've got this guy who's, buying X, Y, Z. Can you help?
People were buying houses. That was the thing. Things were still happening, weren't they? Or people needed remortgages. People were getting renovations. People were remortgaging their houses to, build. We were moving out. It was a crazy busy time. But for our brokers, it was so busy that it was kind of quiet for us, because people were just, our side of things was hard to get two people together. Obviously, it was COVID. But the actual brokers themselves, they were, if you wanted to, there was a load of opportunity to graft and, make some okay cash. And especially like you guys come out the other side with with bigger market share than you went in with. I think that's also, just while I think of it, it's kind of relevant because we're looking at this challenging time coming up. People are going to have the choice whether to batten down the hatches, a bit like with COVID, or you can try and thrive through it and come out with a bigger market share. And that, again, is that mindset of what you want to do. Do you want to shrivel up in a recession and see what you can do, or you actually want to thrive? And you've already built that mindset through the last challenge, so it makes sense. It would be easier for you in the next one.
Yeah, and we Chris and I have already had discussions around, there is a recession looming, the market is tightening, and we've spoken to our team as well and said, this is an opportunity within itself. It's going to be difficult, but opportunities will arise, and it's just looking for the opportunity so that when we're back on the upward trajectory, we can take advantage of it again.
Yeah, it's much, and that opportunity is the same on both sides. There's a negative opportunity. There's an opportunity to go into yourself and blame the recession. So you get to choose there. You get to choose how involved you're going to be in it, whether you're going to thrive and come out the other side like you have, or lots of people seem to be preparing for it too early, where they're batting down the hatches, and it kind of, that's an excuse not to market yourself. Like, it's just driving up the wall, and that's not happening with our clients like you, because I mean, purposely we align ourselves with people like you who want to do it, but also you understand how to make money in tough times. It just that we've done it before, it can be done again.
Yeah, and that's it. And we are constantly looking to grow. I mean, we went into the beginning of the pandemic, so like early 2020, with me, Chris was still writing a bit of business at the time, so there was 3 advisors, Chris included, and 2 trainee advisors as well, who are now performing really well as cash brokers, and probably very close to hitting senior. So yeah, that was at the time. So 2 trainees and 3, and 1 case manager, 1 admin staff. We came out of the pandemic with so like back end of 2020 with 3 more admin staff and 2 new brokers. So it's not masses of growth, but during a hard period,
50% growth, which is a big lump on any business.
Yeah, exactly that. So we still found an opportunity to try and carry on growing in that period, but really coming out the back end of that in early 2021. So I think maybe as lockdown 2 or 3 was ending.
Lockdown 7, who remembers?
Yeah.
I don't know where it was.
As COVID was finishing, so to speak, we built a nice little team, and then 2021 it was right. Let's revert to the original plan, and we're going to need. That's when the opportunity arose to go into the sales management role. Chris said, right, look. He said to me, I want to carry on growing the business. I want to focus on the growth element. Do you fancy, taking over the sales management and looking after the guys that we've got on board already, and carry on growing from that aspect?
How's that been for you? Because obviously that's a new position for you. You're a top biller, so you're used to eating what you hunt. How's that transition been for you?
I'd like to think it's going well. 18 months in now, and I'm still here. So,
so far so good.
But it was easier than I expected, in the sense of, I don't want to say I'd mastered mortgages, but I was really comfortable with any aspect of mortgages, legal process, etc. So, do
you think that makes a difference to the sales management, that you're still boots on the ground, like they're watching you bill high amounts every month? So even though you haven't got the experience, you've got the backup of the fact that I'm doing it. This is how I do it. This is how you do it.
That's it. You need, in all organisations, irrespective of industry, you need somebody to not look up to, but somebody that can show, look, this is possible.
Yeah.
Not necessarily do what I do, but this is possible. I will try to show you what I do and what works for me. Mimic it as best as you can, make it your own, and it will work for you as well. So I had that element of backing, that, look, I'm doing it, and this is where we've got to through tricky times.
The same thing with me. This is how much money I make. There's no reason why you can't get there.
Yeah, exactly. So I had that element. Like I said, I was really, really confident with that element. So, and you also need somebody there that when one of the guys goes, how can I place this case, or what does this mean, or we've got this issue with this lender, or this legal thing's gone wrong. So you need somebody that can confidently say, right, this is what you need to do, and give that guidance and that support to the team as they're building up their books. Yeah. So I would say
the man management, do you feel, isn't as sorry I'm interrupting. The man management do you think that's less important than the knowledge that they can do it, or that they feel safer, if you like, under you, that they know that it's possible? I think that's more important than actually being able to do the stuff that you're taught in management courses, for instance, which you probably haven't done. Do you think that's fair to say, how the team responds to you?
I think so. That, especially from my experience anyway, because I was at a similar level to these guys. You know, we was all brokers, part of the sales team.
Yeah.
And then you have to kind of not earn the respect, because we was all friendly. Like we're a very friendly organisation. But
I've been in your office. I love your offices. It's not like there's a hierarchy. You know, you're not sat anywhere else, and you know, it's a nice environment from Chris down, isn't it? You know, there's no but you know, still obviously levels of respect in regards to management. But yeah, there's no ivory towers and closed doors and stuff, is there?
Yeah, but at that point you need to show the guys, right, okay, I'm going to lead us now. Yeah. I need you to trust me, and I'll give you the support for us to keep moving on. So having that element and the confidence to be able to do that, I think is the key element. And then the people management element is easier to learn. So, and Chris has been a great mentor, you know, through the last 18 months to get us to where we are. Almost now to where
people happy is something you can learn from, isn't it? Much the same as your guys are learning from you. He's all about making sure people are comfortable. I mean, obviously it's still commercial. You still got to make sure everyone makes you money, but it's not it's carrot over stick, isn't it? You know, teaching people how to be brilliant as opposed to trying to beat them into being brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're I wouldn't say young, but we're a youngish team in terms of age of the brokers, experience of the brokers. I mean, we've got 3 or 4 now really fantastic experienced brokers, but we've also got 5 kind of younger, under 2 years experience type brokers.
But you picked that, you kind of, because obviously we've assisted you with some of that, and it's an interesting model because there's not many people that have backed themselves to train people up like you have. Because especially after COVID, everyone wanted that experienced person who's done X amount, because a safe pair of hands and that kind of thing. And Chris obviously went off on a different model to others and said, look, I can train people. We've got David, a sales manager, he can do it. You've got, obviously, you had all the operations and stuff put in really well. But that's worked for you really well, hasn't it? It's got that side of things. Your trainees are becoming seniors, and now you're bringing in more trainees, and they sell the way you want them to.
Exactly, yeah. So our kind of company ethos is to bring people in the lower ranks, get them qualified. That way they know the importance of the customer satisfaction, the customer journey, what the back end looks like, but then also to start picking up some of the front end stuff whilst they're getting qualified, and then they move into the role. And it makes you, I think, a much more rounded individual.
You understand the whys, don't you? What that's the why you're doing stuff, as opposed to this is it, because just get on with it. They get it.
Because I won't say anybody can get CMAP, but CMAP is relatively easy to get right. So, and
I got it in lockdown.
There you go. Right. So so you can get CMAP qualified, and then theoretically you are on the same playing field as someone who's been in this game for 25 years.
Which is mental, by the way. They've got to change that, but nonetheless, that's another story. So CMAP is as relevant to mortgage advice as GCSEs are to life. You know, they're so irrelevant there.
Exactly, and in my previous organisation, and I've seen people who are having a career change. You know, they go from car salesman into mortgages or whatever. But because they find it really difficult because they haven't had any of that understanding of the process. It's just kind of like, they're thrown in, and it's, you're a mortgage advisor, your job is to sell, but they don't understand the whole process, and they haven't had time to confidently build up on their knowledge of how things work. And I think the confidence is what sells.
Yeah.
So that's why we feel it's easier to bring somebody in and get them in an admin role or a support role of some form for 12, 18, 24 months. And then when they're ready and they say, right, let's do it. I'm qualified. I feel like I could talk on the phone as good as you now. I've listened to you for a year.
Everyone thinks they could do what you do.
And it works. It works though, but we've proven it works. We've got some great brokers that have come in, 3, 4, 5 now that have come in via that route, and they're doing amazing. To compare them,
as you said on that, like it's the sales process is really important about the trust thing and the confidence thing. And if you're confident enough to speak to someone because you understand the whole why, they're going to trust you more. They trust you more, they're going to buy from you. It's not like it's simple when the reasons why you've done it makes the process really simple. You build up confidence enough for someone to trust you. Someone trusts you, they're going to buy from you, and then the circle continues. It just when people are being chucked in at the deep end, they must look at things like this, must listen to you, and hopefully it strikes a chord with some people that they're not doing it right. There's a reason why they're banging out really mediocre brokers, and it's a constant why we're not hitting that next level. So hopefully that helps people, because that is an interesting bit of an insight.
Yeah, and I think if I was to, maybe compare some of our guys who are a year or two in to broking, the way they carry themselves, the way they speak to clients, the complexity of things that they're dealing with, you'd think these guys have been in the game for years and years. And maybe that's me bragging that we're good, but
no, that's just the truth, isn't it? If you're stuck at the back of estate agents with no one giving you any support, you're never going to progress like you are as a broker, given the understanding as to why you're doing everything you do. But that's just not. I don't think that's bragging. That just makes complete sense. They're never going to be as.
It's not easy either. We've invested a lot of time into them. Given them everything they need to be successful in this, and giving them all the support that they require and the training to get to here. And that's how they can now.
That's a lot of why people are adverse to it as well, isn't it? Because it does cost money to train people up. It does take up a lot of your time. It does mean your top people are not always on the phone. But obviously the advantages are massive, and now you're starting to reap the benefits the other end. But I think people are so adverse to it because of that, because it's just a bit more of a pain, and I think people want a bit of an easier life, and that's not always the best route to go down.
Yeah, one thing that has kind of always resonated with me is Chris has always said, think long term. That don't think about the next 6 to 12 month figures. Think where we want to be in 5 years and how we can get there.
Yeah.
And that is it. We are on a long journey here. We're not here for a quick win, a quick buck, because it's not sustainable. We want to build, a trusted brand, a very well-known, mortgage brokerage firm, and longevity is key to this. And it all comes back to, like you say, the customer experience, the customer journey. So we haven't spoke about them yet, but we've got a fantastic admin team and back end support who, in the next year or so, they will be our next, 3 or 4 advisors who come through the ranks. So, and that's how we'll keep building up, and then we'll replenish the admin and the support staff.
And the cycle will continue to keep getting better. The longevity thing is really interesting as well, because if you're looking long term, those short term little pains you feel don't hurt as much. Because like we're the same, like we're on a newer journey, if you like, than the 12 years we've been in it, and we know that everything we do now is for 2 years' time, which also means that any quick wins are great, but they don't really mean as much because we know what we're building. But the biggest thing is any shortfalls or any issues that come up now, it's not the end of the world, because everything is 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line. Just makes it much easier to stomach. There's a lot less not stress, because business is stressful, but you know what I mean. It's not maybe as taxing because it's not right now.
Yeah, exactly that. So, and that it comes back, I think, just to the team that you've got around you, and that's really how you achieve it is by what you're building out, and just backing the people that you've got that they can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. So I've taken up loads of your time. I appreciate it. I'm going to run for a couple of little bits. So any tip, you've given loads of tips, but if you could be like succinct and say, right, this is something that someone could go away with now. Someone even new to the industry. I always say this: new to the industry are underperforming. There's nothing wrong with, you know, self-awareness. There are people that are underperforming and feel like they're not reaching their potential. Give me something that they can go away with now and go, this is what's going to change in my life now. This is how I'm going to become a better broker. What do you think it is that's important to you that makes you better?
I'd say there's two factors to it. The first is, in my experience, your network is your net worth, right? It's well known, but you can't rely on one person to feed you business. And what I mean by that is, if you're an employed broker, it's different for self-employed, but we'll start with employed. If you're an employed broker, you can't solely rely on your company or your employer to give you leads. If you really want to hit it hard, you need to be able to build a business within that business, and organically bring leads in. So whether that's social media, marketing, networking events, whatever, you need to find what works for you. Everybody, I think, eventually finds what works for them. So find what works for you to bring that business in, and then on top of that, it's supplemented by taking a little bit of business that the company naturally brings in as well. So on an individual basis, that's what I would say works well. But then you need to reinforce that with the customer experience. Like, you're never going to, word of mouth is the most powerful marketing there is. I'm confident that if I were to quit being a mortgage broker and never do a mortgage again, go do something else, my phone will probably keep ringing for a good few years to come, of people saying,
everyone's pick breaks up.
And that's what you need to get to. And the way that you get to that, and some people won't like this, right? But if I'm sat on the sofa at 9:30 watching Love Island, and someone texts me about, you know, can you help with XYZ, or the solicitor said this today, what does it mean? Just to 30 seconds reply, done. Or if an email comes in that is maybe a little bit pressing or something, just a quick response: hi, I've received your email, I'll pick this up first thing. It's going above and beyond and doing things that your competition isn't doing. And some people don't like the idea of being on the phone on a Saturday, being on the phone in the evening.
Work-life balance and all.
Exactly. And it's a very demanding role. It is a demanding role. And it can be tough at times with managing workload and whatnot, but that is how you get the reputation, and I think anyway you can build that success.
And that's also massively related to your work ethic, like answering that call at 9:30. Like, if people want an easy life, that you can have an easy mortgage advisor role, but don't moan that you're not making money.
Yeah, you could easily, I think, earn a comfortable 40,000, 50,000 pounds, maybe doing those 9 to 5 hours, 9 to 6.
You know, 9 to 5. Work the customers that come to you. But why? You know, there's an opportunity there to be great. Doesn't, but you know, not for everyone. Some people like Netflix, Love Island at 9:30. Yeah.
Just an example.
That's all really useful. Do you know what, though? That genuinely is, like, you've given some nuggets there. I think hopefully people can look at it and apply some of it to getting better, because that's what all these about. You know, it's about the best people in the industry sharing a little bit of knowledge to make other people better. And hopefully you can take one thing away. I do all the time, even speaking to you guys. I'm not in mortgages, I'm in recruitment, but I always take something away from everything and think that's an actionable thing I can do right now. I always feel guilty as well if someone's doing better than me, so it gives me a kick up the arse. But that's really useful. I really appreciate it. Like I said, if I'll obviously get all this together and we will take it from there. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, Dave.